Hey everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video, I guess we're definitely doing an unboxing. There's no doubt about that, but might be a bit of a start of a informal series of sort with basically unboxing a various number of 40k combat patrols that is basically sitting in my backlog that I really need to do something with. So I thought I'd start this basically combat patrol unboxing and obviously not a review but a bit of a personal thoughts for each combat patrol as I try and basically get these boxes open and get ready for 11th edition, because more of these combat patrol starter editions etc will start entering the market. So basically yes, a new unboxing series for the current combat patrols in my backlog, to which there are a few, unsurprising. Anyway, this will be a bit of a change from the previous combat patrols that I've done for the Emperor's Children and the now out of production Grey Knights, because that was just a pure unboxing. But for these ones I'm going to try and just have a minute or two worth of thoughts at the end of the unboxing. Anyway, getting straight into it. So for this unboxing, we'll be looking at the Iron Hands Combat Patrol. So front of the box, 13 miniatures in total. I'll have some thoughts about this later. But basically, pretty much a view of everything that will be included. I don't want to say too much about it just yet, because I think it's pretty much save it for the end of the unboxing. So that's pretty much the front of the box. Now the Iron Hands, much like many of the other Space Marine chapters, bar the main ones, was a time limited release, so I picked this one up just for the sake of picking one up, because I do want to have a small Iron Hands detachment. This could still be around right now. I mean, it's June 2026 now, but definitely don't expect it to come back into print. So if you see one and it's at a decent price, grab it. But otherwise, it's pretty much your stock standard combat patrol boxing. As for the back, so we do get a better indication of what is included. So we'll get a single Tech Marine. I was going to say Techno Marine. We get the Fire Strike servo turrets ×2, and a full squad of the heavy intercessors. So I believe these are the ones with more of the heavy bolter based equipment as opposed to the standard intercessors. So yes, always good to see that. So that's pretty much what is inside the box. So once again, 13 models in total. It's not the worst number to count combat patrol, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, that's enough with the box. Time to have a look inside, which will be pretty much, I'm sure there'll be the instruction manual and the actual sprues for each of the models. And with everything out of the box, so we do get a decent sized manual for the Iron Hands Combat Patrol, so just a rehash of the front image that was on the front of the box, and then just a rehash of all the included painted and assembled models. So in terms of the instructions, they're pretty much your typical 40k instruction set. So it'll go through the actual combat patrol based configuration, but where possible there'll be some allusion to the optional assembly. The contents, which we'll go through in a little bit. Otherwise, it pretty much goes straight into the building of the Tech Marine, which is pretty stock standard, but there will be some variations there. I'm assuming some type of pistol and non-pistol based options, but otherwise the Tech Marine will have a little bit of optional features with it, which isn't too bad. Now, since I'm not actually going to play it as the specific combat patrol, I may very well just pull out some magnets for the Tech Marine when the time comes. Going into the Heavy Intercessor Squad. So once again, it will go through what you should equip per the combat patrol. So there'll be bolt pistol, which is pretty much on the side of the waist, the heavy bolter or the heavy bolt rifle. And then just going through the actual Marine build, which is pretty stock standard and straightforward, nothing too overly complex. Most of these, because they're the intercessors, they're pretty much put the torso together, put the legs together, and then your arms are pretty much where you have a bit of flexibility as to how you put them on. So that's definitely not too bad. And obviously you still have your shoulder pads, your heads and things like that. So definitely not too bad. It's nice that there's some choice of what arms go on what body, but your main body and legs are very much going to be as they are built. There will also be some accessories there between some purity seals, pouches, pistols, war specs, and some other relic items as well. So definitely not too bad. That's pretty much the Heavy Intercessor Squad. And then the instructions for the Flame Strike turrets. So it can either be the autocannon or the Las Talon, which I believe is the recommendation for the combat patrol. Pretty much just putting everything straightforward together. No doubt you could probably do some magnetization on the weapons to give yourself a bit of flexibility. On the actual assumption, these units even make it into 11th edition. Time will tell. So that was the actual manual for the Iron Hands Combat Patrol. Nothing too unusual or different. Everything's pretty straightforward these days when it comes to building these things. Now, what else was included? Surprisingly, there actually is the Iron Hands transfer sheet. So there is a nice array of transfers there, obviously ranging from the chapter iconography, and then you have some other things like your clan markings, type of field support, your numbers, etc. So definitely a nice array of transfers there, vehicle markings as well. So always nice to have. Have no idea if I'd ever use them, but it is nice that this is actually included. Suffice to say, Games Workshop didn't have to include it. Before looking at the sprues, so we do get a bag of the actual plastic bases. So that's pretty much your Tech Marine and the Intercessors, and then we get the two larger bases to accommodate the turret. Now, as for everything else, looking at the sprues, so we do have this, I don't know, a 2 size maybe? Whatever size sprue wants to be known as. So this will pretty much be the Tech Marine sprue from what I can tell. So definitely nice and detailed parts there. You can obviously see the legs, the main torso, arms, etc. So it looks like there will be some degree of customization here. Not too much, but it is there. For me, this, I will admit, is a bit of a novelty because the last time I saw a Tech Marine, they were not plastic. So, as I said, this is an actual nice novelty to actually see a Tech Marine in actual plastic. In terms of the next one, so we do get 2 of the Flame Strike turrets, so pretty much a single sprue will build a single turret, which isn't too bad. So the pieces definitely aren't too big, so painting them won't be too difficult at all, but you can obviously see the 2 different weapon configurations on each of these, so definitely not too bad. So 2 of those to make 2 turrets. And then lastly, we have 2 full sprues, unbroken, for the Heavy Intercessors. So no doubt it will very much be a case of one will do 5, the other one will do 5. Are they exactly the same? I don't think they are. But just looking at it, obviously there is a good amount of detailing on these parts. They are the Heavy Intercessors, so Obviously they will have a bit more of that heavier armor build around them. I mean, just looking at the backpacks, which do look a bit more larger. Obviously we can see the different weapons here, which do look very nice. Detailing's quite nice, shoulder pads, etc. So what else do we have? The heads, which unfortunately they're all the Primaris looking heads, but it is what it is. And then yeah, that actually does look like it's they are exactly the same sprue twice over, so that is nice to have. So yeah, get that. I'm sure there'll be some spare parts here. Given that the arms are pretty much not integrated in with the main bodies, I'm sure if you had a heap of spare spare bodies and or spare arms, you could probably extend some of the mileage from this combat patrol, but because they are the heavy intercessors, I dare say you might be a bit hamstrung by what you can do. So let's bring this back into view. Combat patrol for Iron Warriors. So 13 models in total. A full 10-man squad, which will be battle line, the HQ option, and the support. Now, what do I think of this? I'll give them points for trying to do something Iron Hands themed. I'll go that far. Naturally, probably the Tech Marine Ironfather is probably the standout model for the actual combat patrol. The intercessors are a nice choice. I mean, it's nice to have the battle lines. The turrets are definitely where I go question mark as to were they the most appropriate and suitable. Looking at some of the other combat patrols, which I feel have better mileage and better value, this probably could have been done better. Maybe they could have just done the 5-man squad, introduced a Rhino transport or something along those lines. But for 13 models and what is given, I personally don't feel it's the best value for this combat patrol. From a cost perspective, I definitely think it's probably overpriced for what you're getting. I'm sure there's cost savings from buying these individually, so I'm not going to doubt that, but looking at other combat patrols, I don't think the actual value to what you're getting, I don't think it's there. I feel I've seen Age of Sigmar spearheads, which have cost less than a combat patrol, have better value. That's probably a bit below the belt, but that's what I think of that. So overall, value-wise, I don't think it's there. The models are nice. Once again, between the battle line, Tech Priest, I think that's still definitely nice. I don't understand the point of the turrets. I know Iron Hands being Iron Hands, I mean, they're probably trying to go for a bit of a pseudo-mechanized feel, but I don't think turrets were necessarily the way to go about it. At least maybe a Rhino, or even a Razorback could have been interesting. Razorback with the 5-man intercessor and the Iron Father, that actually might have been a bit better. But that's my take on it. But I did say at the beginning, I did grab this because I did want to have a small Iron Hands detachment, and as a starting point, it's definitely convenience. So that definitely isn't too bad. If I had to rate this on a 5-star rating scale, I feel I would give it a solid 1 star. I don't think I could go as far as 2 though. Like, I think some of the models here are good, but I don't think it aligns well to, you know, a good value for money at this particular combat patrol price point. If it was cheaper, then I'd probably look towards a 2-star. But given this combat patrol was roughly around the same pricing as most other combat patrols, plus or minus a few dollars here or there, I don't think it was actually worth it. Like, I potentially could have just gone piecemeal, or once I get to the Imperial Fist one. Maybe I would have grabbed 2 Imperial Fists and be like, just flesh out the Iron Hands with that. But yes, I think overall, probably a 1 out of 5 star. There's definitely some nice stuff in there to get started, but it needs a lot of help thereafter, unfortunately. But it was only a time-sensitive release. It was nice that GameStop tried to do something for the Iron Hands, but I think overall it has probably fallen a bit flat, unfortunately. But once again, it is nice to have a bit of a starting point, and I can bolster accordingly. It's only going to be like a small side force anyway, 1,000 points at the very most. So in a way, it does help at least restrict some of the expenditure to just what I want for the Iron Hands. But there it is. I will admit it actually was nice that the transfer sheet is in there. What could have made this better? If they were going to keep this, either lower the cost, which probably would have been the better option, or keep the cost, put in the Iron Hand upgrade runners. 2 of them, 3 of them maybe. I think that would have helped. Probably give it a bit more of a 2 out of 5 scale. Alternatively, restructure the whole combat patrol. Keep the Iron Father, maybe drop them down to 5-man heavy intercessor, throw in a Razorback, and then after that, I'm probably a bit stumped, because I think any other options would probably be too heavy. I don't know, maybe the Aggressors, possibly. I think the Salamanders had them though, so yeah. I think there are better ways of doing it, but I didn't actually think of what could have been better ways. But the quicker ways would have been either drop the price or put in the Iron Hand upgrade sprues. But anyway, I'm going to leave that little bit of an unboxing there. It's probably gone a bit longer than I was expecting, so I'll probably try and keep that all in mind in subsequent combat patrols just to see if I can condense it down a little bit. I'll probably also do a quick short version of the unboxing, but obviously it'll be minus some of the extra commentary. Thank you very much for watching this very interesting Iron Hands Combat Patrol unboxing. Feel free to do the whole like, comment, subscribe. It does help support the channel. I do appreciate it. Check out Instagram and the YouTube community tab. Hopefully they're going to start getting some new content soon. But yes, with that being said, stay safe and take care, and I'll catch you all in a future video, whether it's Warhammer related or not. And as I said, there will be a shorter version of this if you just want to pretty much see what's in the box. Although, for the chance that you've managed to listen to this far, you already know what's in the box, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, until the next time, see ya.